And the floor is yours, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I will call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of March 28th, 2024. Mr. Lyman, please take a roll call.
Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state their name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department?
Callahan.
Inspectional Services Department?
Ryan Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
Commission for Persons with Disabilities?
Sarah Leon.
We do not have a representative from BTD, but we do have quorum.
All right, thank you very much. So our first item of business is hearing minutes 1 at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on March 14th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the PIC hearing on March 14th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to our next item. Public hearing continued. Number 1, on a set of petitions by the Harvard Commons butters for roadway betterments to upgrade the following private ways in West Roxbury to be public ways: Senator Bowling Circle, northwest of Harvard Street; Snowden Way between Senator Bowling Circle and Senator Bowling Circle. New business on February 8th with a public hearing on March 4th to be continued. On Monday, April 1st, 2024, at the Brook Charter High School, 200 American Legion Highway, Mattapan at 6 p.m. Todd, do you want to explain what's going on here for the record?
Sure. This is really just kind of an interim step. We had our last public hearing out in the community with the abutters on March 4th. At that time, we had not been able to secure a meeting location in time for the final meeting, which presumably will be the vote of the abutters. So we had to continue the hearing to this date. We've now secured that date. It's going to be this coming Monday on April 1st. At which time we expect to take a vote of the abutters to see whether or not they are in favor of moving forward with these petitions.
Great, thank you very much. Before we move to continue, any comments or questions from the commission or members of the public? All right, seeing none, do I hear a motion to continue? Public hearing continued number 1.
I make a motion to continue public hearing, continued agenda item 1 until the next PIC hearing on April 11th, 2024.
Joe, I believe the intent here is to continue to April 1st on Monday, when we will have the public hearing meeting.
So I'll restate that. I make a motion to continue this public hearing, continued agenda item until April 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. We'll see everyone on Monday night. On to public hearing number 1. Actually, before I read this into the record, I just I want to take a moment to acknowledge something that the tragedy that happened in this area in Fort Point on Sunday evening. A young girl, 4 years old, visiting their family from Colorado, was killed at the intersection, or near the intersection of Congress and Sleeper Street in a crash. And this is obviously, it's devastating when something like this happens in the city, and underscores, I think, just how important it is that we be pursuing these kinds of transformative projects that can improve safety for everyone using the roads. So I just want to acknowledge that this coming in the midst of this review process by the PIC, I think certainly for me at a personal level is a very, very sad reminder of why this work is so important here. So with that, I will read this item into the record. Public hearing number 1, a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, storm drain infrastructure, bike racks, street furniture, bollards, trash receptacles, raised crosswalks, protected bicycle facilities, and driveway curb cuts. Congress Street between Sleeper Street and Boston Wharf Road, Sleeper Street between Congress Street and Seaport Boulevard, A Street between Congress Street and Melcher Street, Boston Wharf Road at Congress Street, Seaport Boulevard at Sleeper Street. This was new business on March 14th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plans, Congress Street, Sleeper Street, and A Street, South Boston, 19 sheets dated March 28th, 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an update on any changes since your new business hearing, as well as any potential progress on some of the outstanding community issues that were identified in new business.
Thank you, Chief. Morning, Chairman, members of the Commission. Thank you for the words you expressed, Chairman. Absolutely, at the crux of all our projects is to improve safety for all users, and this is one of the important projects that we want to move forward with to address those needs. My name is Jeffrey Alexis with the Public Works Engineering Division, petitioning for the Congress Street, Sleeper Street, and A Street reconstruction project. I'm joined here with my colleague from BTD, Pat Owie, as well as our design consultants from Crosby, Schlesinger, and Smallridge, as well as HDR. I'll let them introduce themselves shortly. Before getting started, I just wanted to provide some background information on this project. The Congress Street project actually is a carryover from the Big Dig and the Crossroads initiative, in which a handful of streets were selected to make improvements to with the creation of the Greenway. As of recent, Boston Public Works Department, as well as BTD, have reinitiated this design project to address safety concerns along the corridor, and with the assistance and direction of the community, as well as the Landmarks Commission. We did develop a design that updates and upgrades existing infrastructure while maintaining the cultural fabric of the Fort Point neighborhood. As requested by the neighborhood, we're proposing a design that proposes bicycle accommodations, additional sidewalk space for accessibility, as well as cafe space, as well as existing street trees along the corridor. With that, I will turn it over to our consultants to go over the rest of the improvements, and as well as to address some of the changes that were made in regards to the comments and the inquiries that were made from the business. Kevin?
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Kevin Morrison with HDR. Again, I'm part of the CSS design team. Let me share my screen and pull up the plans. So again, members of the board and commissioner, thanks for having us again. We had some very minor changes from last time, which I'll go over quickly here. The biggest change we had from new business is the plan set got significantly smaller, from 26 sheets down to 19. That's because we combined the landscape plans and the specific repair plans into one combined set. So on the surface, that's one of the bigger changes. We did get some comments back from both the Public Improvement Commission and the Disabilities Commission, all of which were incorporated here. And then I'll go through those really quick, and if anyone wants to see a particular thing in the plans, please let me know, but I'll start going through these now. So at Congress and Sleeper, we're currently proposing that raised crosswalk. We're doing everything we can, again, to double check to make sure that we're making every kind of improvement we can at this spot. We do have a proposed curb bump out into Sleeper Street, which narrows the crosswalk length, and the combination of that and the raised crosswalk will really highlight the pedestrian first priority that we're really trying to establish here. The rest of the sheet is pretty much the same as you had last time, but we have separated cycle tracks at roadway level on both sides of Congress Street as part of our proposed project, so completely separated from the roadway. We also have bumped out the sidewalks significantly. The sidewalks on Congress Street are at least 10 feet wide, and are in many areas just up to 17 feet wide where possible.
Kevin, if I can just chime in here, there was a comment about having a minimum 4-foot wide passageways from the walking pathway to the cafe or seating areas, and on the north of this sheet, you can sort of see the outline of what's a potential location for the blue bikes, but we added the passageway to the right of that. To the east, you can see by the mailboxes. That area's, exact use of that is in flux, so the location of where that passageway is also in flux. Likewise, we had passageway to the cafe spaces that we want to make sure that the owners of the cafes, that we work those out with them, but there are passageways to all of the areas that are either existing cafe or future cafe spaces.
Yep, thanks, Jane. We did receive one comment from Disabilities that, if you'll notice, the landscaping strip with the existing and proposed street trees is in the exact same spots as today. That's because the underground utility conflicts under Congress Street are pretty extreme. From curb to curb, the entire street's utilities. So we did try to see if we could push those landscape strips out at one point, but with the utility conflicts, it was just impossible. So, but we do have the 10-foot path to travel. I'm sorry, we have at least a minimum 5-foot wide path to travel along the building faces. We have that landscape strip that has occasional concrete cut-throughs to get to the wider sidewalk, and then where possible, we have that extra sidewalk space out into the road. We have some benches in that area, cafe space, whatever that may be. Frontage Street also has a raised crosswalk. One change we had to make, and we don't take this lightly based on the tragedy that just happened at Sleeper Street, is at Stilling Street, we had to remove the raised crosswalk that we had originally proposed. That is because the sidewalk at Stilling Street on Congress Street on the north side is 10 feet wide. We are making it slightly wider to the east, but there was not enough room to have a raised crosswalk and have the accessible path of travel lie entirely within the city's right of way. That's because Stilling Street is not a city-owned street, it's a private way. So we're still looking to see if there's any other improvements we can make, but for now that raised crosswalk had to be removed, but the other ones that we had proposed all still remain. On Sleeper Street, and working with Dan Miller at BTD right now, we are, while they're not shown on the plan yet, we propose to add 2 speed humps onto Sleeper Street. We have 2 locations that we've picked that work from a drainage perspective and traffic safety. So we're working with BTD to get those added to the plans, and those will be put in before the site goes out for advertisement. Also on Sleeper Street, and 2 other locations on this project as well, we added in reciprocal ramps. This was both the PIC and a Disabilities Commission comment, so we have these new reciprocal ramps added in. The one at Sleeper Street and Seaport Boulevard will require an architectural access board variance. The existing slopes coming off the Moakley Bridge and coming around the corner to Martins Parker, they're very steep, so we can get an accessible ramp in, but the ramp going around the corner up onto the bridge will be, it won't meet the maximum slope requirements from AEB, so we will be pursuing a variance for that. On A Street, the same thing. We're going to be adding in a reciprocal ramp at the alleyway underneath the Summer Street Bridge here. We're also adding in a catch basin here at this location too. This section of A Street has very poor drainage, and adding in a catch basin while we do the ramp will help take care of that and eliminate a recurring problem on that little stretch of street there. So another added benefit to what we're trying to do on A Street, we propose a 10-foot sidewalk, which will allow us to have a 5-foot passageway, an accessible route around the existing bridge stair up onto Summer Street, which we have nothing like that today here. The sidewalks are extremely narrow, so that'll be a good improvement there for the community for pedestrian safety. Beyond that, we have gone through. We did meet, at least remotely with Todd. Believe we covered all the comments from both those agencies. We did, for utilities, we did receive some Boston Water and Sewer comments today, which I have not had a chance to look at yet. The only other response we got from the utility agency was National Grid. They may be looking to improve some of their gas infrastructure before this project goes out for construction. So that's just the consultants, and we're working with Public Works and the utility company to coordinate that effort. But other than that, the design is mostly unchanged from that point. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add that we will be working with Boston Water in regards to the infrastructure, which is located in the sidewalks. And maybe some conflicts with the street trees, so we will continue to work with OGI as well as the Parks Department to figure out the best path forward in order to provide some street trees along the corridor. We'll probably include some language in the contract to address, should the utilities be discovered, where we are proposing a street tree, we'll look at providing something else. But ideally, we're going to try to provide street trees along the corridor. We'll look at species. They will be within the existing line of street trees that are on the corridor, but then with the permeable paver strip, it should allow the roots to get enough water and not have to impact the sewer infrastructure. So we're working on that, and we'll definitely have a way to address it as part of the final design.
Thanks, Jeff. And then for those who didn't get a chance to see this at the new business meeting 2 weeks ago, this is a proposed rendering of what Congress Street will look like. This is looking eastbound toward East Street from Farnsworth Street. So we'll have
Hey, Kevin, I'm seeing the plan. I don't know if it's something else that you're showing.
Apologize. All right, hopefully that's better.
Yes.
Apologies for that. This is the proposed rendering of Congress Street at Farnsworth looking eastbound. So this will give you an idea of much better than what the plan can show. Again, we have the widened sidewalks beyond the landscaping strip where possible. We have the curb separated cycle track facility in both directions on Congress Street. And then we have improved street lighting, new street trees wherever possible where they don't conflict with utilities that are all going to be in the same row as the trees that were there, as Jeff had just mentioned. So overall, this is a very worthwhile improvement to a corridor that desperately needs it, and we look forward to making these improvements to this neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, I'll open it up to commissioners for questions or comment. All right, hearing nothing from members of the commission, I see Tom has his hand up. Tom, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Tom Reddy from Point Neighborhood Association. Thank you for your comments regarding the tragedy on Sunday.
Tom, we lost your audio there for a second.
Oh, is this any better, Chief? Sorry.
Yes.
I
We still lost your audio. Maybe it was on my end.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to reiterate, thank you for the words regarding the tragedy on Sunday, and remind everybody in the city and our elected officials that their 4-year-old had a name. Her name's Gracie. And with regard to the community engagement on this project, we're very happy with the amount of effort that the city put in. As I stated earlier in the business, a number of meetings took place, all well attended by both retail businesses on the ground floor along Congress Street, as well as the residential buildings that about the projects. All of the issues that were identified and raised seems to have been addressed. There was one outstanding item that we'd raised in new business, and that was relocation of existing resident permit parking, and BTD has been responsive in that regard, so we're looking forward to that. We don't expect any issues with that, Chief. Just a quick question with regard to construction phasing. Assuming this gets prioritized, funded, and then construction begins in 04, 05, does the construction management plan get put together like a typical commercial building? How does the community get engaged with regard to the construction efforts?
Thank you, you, Tom. Yeah, so as part of this project, we do develop, or the consultant generally does develop a construction management plan for the contractor. Essentially, but realistically, the contractors can then submit their own construction management plan. That is a conversation that we can have with our construction management team, as well as the community, to kind of understand where, they should take priority, as well as just coordinating the work to be done. As you're aware, ultimately we want to make improvements along the corridor where it's mostly needed and where it's prioritized. So, yeah, that is a conversation that we can kind of reach out. And our community engagement team, our communications teams have been very vocal and essentially transparent about what the city is doing and how we're doing it. So there will be construction updates as part of the construction, ahead of the construction, so that we'll definitely reach out and alert and notify the community of when this is going to be happening.
Thank you, Jeff. Commissioners, the neighborhood's in support of this. The sooner we can get built, the better. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Any other comments or questions from members of the public, PIC commissioners, PIC staff?
No, I'll take this opportunity to remind the public, if you wish to ask questions or add testimony, please use the raised hand function at the bottom of your screen, which Tom has kindly demonstrated. I see nothing else, and I'm all set on these. I appreciate the plan updates that HDR did in regards to our comments.
All right, with that, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 1?
I make a motion to approve public hearing agenda item 1 on a petition by the city's Public Works Department for specific repairs in the area of Congress, Sleeper, and A Streets, Boston Wharf Road, and Seaport Boulevard, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? So moved. Thank you very much. Let's get this built.
Yes. Thank you,
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, on to public hearing number 2 on a petition by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, storm drain infrastructure, bike racks, street furniture, trash receptacles, driveway curb cuts, green stormwater infrastructure, and a raised crosswalk. St. James Avenue, generally between Dartmouth Street and Trinity Place south of St. James Avenue. This was new business on March 14th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan Improvements to Copley Square, Phase 2, St. James Avenue, Back Bay, 5 sheets dated March 7th, 2024. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an update on any changes since your new business hearing.
Morning, I'm Pete Roby, Deputy Director of Active Transportation and Station Access at the MBTA. I'm managing the design of this project for the T with our consultant, Howard Stein Hudson. Valerie Chias here is our representative from HSH, and I will hand it over to her in just a minute. But I've been working very closely with B. Chatfield at Parks and William Moose at PTD. B, William, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. B. Chatfield, Boston Parks and Recreation Project Manager for our renovation of Copley Square Park. Just a little bit of background. Parks presented our Copley Square project to PIC back in 2023 in September, and during reviews, the Streets and the Disabilities Commission and the MBTA shared their priority to realign the St. James curb to improve transit experience and pedestrian safety. Parks did not have a consultant team that was prepared to address this request, so we've been working meeting weekly with Streets, MBTA, and Disabilities to participate on a plan for this area. So this is the plan that we're reviewing today, and thanks all for the collaboration. And I'll pass it back over to the rest of the team for introductions.
Thanks, Pete. William Moose with BTD. I'm a transportation planner with the Transportation Department, and I don't really have much to add. I think Pete and B gave a great intro there, but it's been great working with them on this project, and we're excited to present it to you today.
Thanks. I'll just recap really quickly an overview of the project. So this design will upgrade the passenger experience, bus operations of public realm at St. James Avenue at Dartmouth Street, the bus stop. It will add new trees, previous pavers, 2 J.C. Deco bus shelters, additional bus berthing space, and a new transit signal. It'll also make required accessibility upgrades and safety improvements to the intersection of St. James Avenue at Trinity Place, including a raised crossing and a small bioretention area on the southeast corner of the intersection. The bus stop serves people in 8 Boston neighborhoods as well as Watertown and Newton. In 2022, about 1,500 passengers boarded and alighted from buses here each weekday, making this the 9th busiest bus stop in the MBTA network. And in the coming years, the MBTA will increase bus service here by about 60%, making the need to provide additional space for passengers and buses even more critical. So I'd like to address a couple of questions that arose at our new business hearing 2 weeks ago. First, on the question of engagement, we are working with 200 Clarendon and the Fairmont Copley Hotel as immediate abutters to this project. Since 200 Clarendon is licensed to maintain the specialty pavers on the southeast corner of Trinity Place, we're working with them to update their maintenance agreement to include an additional 100 or so square feet that will be added to the streetscape in order to make curb ramps compliant. And as requested, we've also engaged the Back Bay Association and have reached out to the Boston Athletic Association for their input on this site. Next, it was requested that we develop a plan for maintenance in the project area, and I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Sorry, can you all see that?
We're still seeing the plan.
Okay.
Oh, now it works.
So we've been working with our respective agencies to determine maintenance responsibilities within the project area. And we've drafted an agreement which was shared with PIC staff in order to move forward with that to formal acceptance. So this list here shows all of the sort of business items contained within that maintenance agreement, point by point, for the area. For most items, we receive written or verbal agreement for the responsible parties. Much of this is covered in existing city policy. However, we're still having ongoing conversations about some of the furnishings, such as trash and benches, which we'll look to be ironing out in the coming weeks. Winter snow clearance will be handled jointly by J.C. Deco, according to their contract, the Parks Department, and MBTA's Transit Facility Maintenance, as part of its Key Bus Routes snow clearance contract. Currently, I believe this stop handles 2 key bus routes and will handle an additional key bus route in the future. This is basically in order to ensure that the stop is well cleared and accessible throughout the winter. And this diagram shows sort of where we've landed with those parties in terms of responsibilities and the overlap for winter maintenance. So I will stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Valerie to speak to the specific repair plan.
Thanks, Pete. Well, you did all the easy stuff because you went through everything that we proposed. I don't really have to explain too much except for the changes that we made since new business 2 weeks ago. So below and above are the graphics that we showed at new business, showing all the ramp reconstruction, sidewalk reconstruction, post-race crossing, the realigned ramps, the bio-retention basin, and this curb extension piece. 2 things that have changed since new business are the bus shelters. So previously we were showing one large one, which you could see here, but now they will be 2. And then the other change, which is not as noticeable, but we've widened all of our proposed ramps out to 10 feet to match the width of the raised crossing. Mike, who is our traffic lead for this project, can also talk about the West Bike marking comment that came up at the new business meeting last week, so I'll turn that over to him.
Sure. I'm Mike Ponvilli, Senior Traffic Designer at HSH. We're not showing the bus bike lane because this is an existing bus lane that comes into the study area from the east on St. James Avenue, which is not currently bus bike. And also, since we're expecting a 60% increase in bus service at this stop, plus with layovers, it would introduce conflicts with bikes approaching in a bus bike lane with buses stopped at the Copley Square stop. They would need to merge into adjacent traffic. So we felt that keeping the bikes in the travel lane instead of sharing the bus bike lane was the better approach for this project.
All right. Any additional updates?
I think that covers it.
All right. Commissioners, questions, comments?
I just want to thank the project team for working collaboratively with my office over the past, I think it was 6 months, 7 months since September. So just want to pass on those sentiments from our office.
Likewise, thank you, Sarah. We appreciate your input. You've been there for every coordination meeting. We really appreciate having you.
Commissioners, other comments? All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on this. I appreciate Pete's work on the maintenance agreement stuff. I'll continue working with him and Chung to make sure that we get all of those documents ironed out before we issue permits.
All right, with that, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 2?
Make a motion to approve a petition by the Mass Bay Transportation Authority for specific repairs in the area of St. James Avenue and Trinity Place, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to public hearing number 3 on a petition by SFH 48 Boylston Street LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to LaGrange Street, public way, Boston proper, located on its northerly side at address number 41, generally between Tamworth Street and Washington Street. This was new business on March 14th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, 41 LaGrange Street, Boston, Chinatown, one sheet dated October 24th, 2023. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us a brief update on this project and any changes since your new business hearing.
Sure. Hello, Commissioner. Thank you to the Commission. My name is Carla Chaffee. I'm an attorney at Nixon Peabody, and I represent the Planning Office of Urban Affairs, the proponent of this application. Unfortunately, there was an error with the public notice in the Herald, so we are requesting a 2-week continuance.
Got it. Do I hear, and Commissioners, Spacey staff, any comments or questions before we move to continue? All right, do I hear a motion to continue public hearing number 3?
I make a motion to continue public hearing agenda item 3 to the next PIC hearing on April 11th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 4 on a petition by SFH 48 Boylston Street LLC for the making of specific repairs within LaGrange Street Public Way, Boston proper, located on its northerly side at address number 41, generally between Tamworth Street and Washington Street, consisting of curb and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new street lighting infrastructure, and the removal of one driveway curb cut. New business from March 14th is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, 41 LaGrange Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 5th, 2024. The petitioners please introduce themselves and their affiliations again and let us know how you would like to proceed on this agenda item.
Yeah, hello again, Carla Chaffee, Nixon Peabody, on behalf of the proponents. We would like to request a continuance to the next hearing of the PIC so we can cure an issue with public notice.
Do I hear a motion to continue public hearing number 4?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing number 4 agenda item to the next PIC hearing on April 11th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
All right. That concludes the public hearing section of our agenda. So we have 2 new business items today. We'll start with new business 1. 1318 River Street, Business Street, Hyde Park, specific repairs and a petition by HP Tracks Realty LLC. Would the petitioners please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through what you are proposing to do here?
Good morning, Chairman and Commission staff. Joe Connolly of Howard Stein Hudson, acting as the civil engineer on this project and representing HP Tracks Realty LLC. I'm joined today by James Downing and Ian McKinnon, Howard Stein Hudson, as well as the proponent of the project, Bobby Patel, as spectators. So I'll now share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Great. So our site is located at the corner of River Street and Business Street in Boston's Hyde Park neighborhood. It is across the street from the MBTA's Hyde Park commuter rail station. So the redevelopment project itself involves the demolition of the existing automotive garage, shown here looking southwest from the corner of River Street and Business Street, and the construction of a new 4-story residential building with about 950 square feet of retail space on the ground floor, along with covered resident parking providing 30 spaces with access from Business Street. So the specific repair improvements along River Street is the closing this existing curb cut, along with installing 3 new bike racks, 3 new street trees and tree pits, permeable pavers within the furnishing zone, and reconstructing the entire length of sidewalk. The Business Street improvements are a little more complicated. We coordinated through the last few months with multiple city agencies, spearheaded by Lydia Hostel at BP Union, along with oversight from that were on the call today. And we ultimately determined that this design created the greatest benefit to the public realm, given our constraints with the MBTA parcel encompassing the approach of Business Street, as well as the green space within the traffic island adjacent to our site. So we've decided to bump out the public sidewalk to provide some public space and possible outdoor seating for our cafe space for similar use once in term. We will also be closing one curb cut of Business Street while modifying another to be used for the garage. From comments from multiple city agencies, we've also incorporated an additional streetlight while relocating another. There's been some improvements as far as green space that will serve as fire retention areas, while also including proposed street trees. We also received comments from PIC staff earlier in the week. We will be incorporating a raised crossing across Business Street for their direction, so that will be reflected in the revised plans prior to our public hearing. So our draft CNP has been submitted, as well as our draft L1, and we are currently coordinating with Boston Water and Sewer and site plan approval. With that, I will open it up to questions.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on this. Looks like Mr. Craig Martin has his hand raised. Go ahead, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Craig Martin from the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. Been very involved with this proposal a couple of years ago. And I can be honest with you, I could hear this whole hearing except for that presenter right there, Howard Stein Hudson. I don't know if the commissioners had the same experience, but he was very hard to hear. The main question I do have is the Business Street leg that is currently owned by MBTA. How was that arranged? Has there been any change in that? Business Street that you're using as a public way is owned by MBTA. I want to know if it still is.
Yep, that's still the case, and that's why we kind of had to revise our approach. It's no longer going to be discontinuing this leg of Business Street with a larger public plaza.
Okay. Well, so you're going to keep the two legs of Business Street onto River Street, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll be honest with you, in all fairness, we had to go through meetings and we had hollering matches. There was so much disagreement. And I thought it should have been fair to bring it back to the neighborhood association when you're making a major change to a proposal before it goes to the Public Improvements Commission. It may well be that we're all very supportive of this change, but I don't know anything about it, and I'm with the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association, which was addressing this matter. I don't know if we should be getting any approvals or what have you today. Until they met with the community. Again, we had several meetings with BPDA. We're hollering for a traffic study. We may well not need one now if we made this change. Because you were closing a leg. BPDA promised us a traffic study over and over again at the meetings, and the last meeting they said, nope, we're not going to do that. But it might well be that we don't need one now if you're not closing that extra leg, but we don't know.
Yeah,
I'd love to see if this could be continued to April 11th, and they could give us a quick overview through our elected officials or what have you, or at our community meeting. That's just Steph. I'm liking what I hear. I think when you're not closing that extra leg, but I don't know what that entails because I'm sure there's a lot of details that are allowing you not to close that extra Business Street leg. I guess we'd like to know what those details are.
So traffic patterns shouldn't be impacted. The only thing we're doing is reducing the width of the left leg of Business Street to accommodate an increased width of sidewalk.
Reducing the width of that second leg that goes onto River Street, right?
Right.
And now the memorial that's in the middle of Business Street.
Yep.
Has anything changed?
That's not
that
the,
aspect?
No.
Are you still connecting that to your parcel?
Nope, that's no longer part of our project.
So like, that's right. And again, and this all sounds good, but the thing is that the zoning board of appeals gung-ho about this proposal because of that aspect, that you were actually connecting the memorial and having a bigger, what they were referring to as a pocket park. And that's why they approved this so gleefully. That's not part of the proposal anymore. Again, I bet you we're going to support this, but gee whiz, I'd like you to bring it to the Park Neighborhood Association just so we can have a quick view of the diagram. And then continue to state April 11th, I hope, with our support.
Would the proponents be willing to, thank you, Mr. Mark, for those comments. Would the proponents be willing to meet with the neighborhood association between now and the public hearing in 2 weeks and present these changes and provide a little bit more of the context behind this change?
Yeah, absolutely.
This first Thursday in April at the municipal building at 7 o'clock, our community meeting and our monthly meeting. First Thursday at the municipal building in April at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, we appreciate your attention to this.
We can facilitate an email connection just to coordinate around that, and hopefully that presentation will happen. Just for the record on this, my understanding is that the decision not to close this leg of the street was not ultimately that of the proponents, but rather that the city and the PIC and the Public Works Department, because the MBTA was unwilling to cede their ownership and control over the other leg of Business Street, it was determined that it would be inappropriate to discontinue the public right-of-way here, because in some hypothetical future state where the MBTA was to exert their property rights over the other leg of the street, if we had closed this leg in front of this proposed development, there would have been no street left. And so in the interest of preserving long-term access to to ensure that there is a street connection here, the city determined it was necessary to keep this leg of Business Street open since we could not secure a permanent long-term right to the other leg. So I think that's my understanding of a little bit of the background behind the decision to leave this open.
That's the right decision, and I'm so very glad to hear that on behalf of the neighborhood association. But again, if you just highparkneighbors@gmail.com, and if you confirm that you can come to the April meeting just for a quick 5-minute overview, just point to us what you changed and move on, and we'll be thrilled.
Understood.
Yeah, it sounds like the proponents are planning to be there. So
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chair.
thank you. There's one other hand up briefly, Elaine Covey, but it looks like that hand has been lowered. Elaine, if you'd like to speak, you're welcome to.
I'm the secretary of the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association, and I just wanted the contact information for Mr. Conley so that we could communicate about the meeting on Thursday.
Sure.
I can put you all in touch offline via email after this hearing.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, commissioners, members of the public, PIC staff?
I think we are all set. I know that these plans have been a little bit of a moving target through no fault of the project team, so we really appreciate their understanding and patience as we, the city, work with our colleagues at the MBTA and others to try to figure out what the best course of action is here. I understand it probably hasn't been easy, and for that I sincerely appreciate the time and effort you put into this.
Thank you.
All right, well, with that, we will plan to see you for your public hearing on April 11th and appreciate you meeting with the community in between now and then. If there are, of course, any changes or adjustments that come to the plans as a result of that, just work with PIC staff on those issues.
Will do. Thank you again.
All right. On to our final item, new business number 2, 30 Park Street, Warren Street, Henley Street, Charlestown, specific repairs on a petition by 30 Park Street Condominium Trust. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through what is being proposed here? We cannot hear you.
Hey, from 30 Park Street?
There we go. Now we can.
You got it. All right, thank you. This is Ken Flynn here from 30 Park Street, City Square in Charlestown. I am the proponent of my planter. The picture that you presently see is the picture of the street level of the...
We don't see a picture.
Yeah, it's coming up. There we go. We got a mission here today.
There we go.
Okay. That is the site as it sits right now. I'd like just to walk you through the history a little bit of it, if I may. Mikey, if we can slide down with these. I purchased this property, was built in 1985. I purchased it in 1987, just before the reconstruction of City Square began. This is what some of the pictures of what the construction looked like in front of my building. And you can see there was no heat island at the time. It was being added. If you could keep moving, Mikey, it would be good. This is a picture from the sidewalk out looking to what was the Route 95 highway and the area that was developed out there. That with the white building there, that's called the Ironside Grill. It's been empty for the last 4 years, but moving on. This was the picture of what would look like from my front door of 30 Park Street. That was the off-ramp coming off of the Tobin Bridge onto Warren Street in Charlestown. It was directly across from my front door. There is a picture of what the building looked like as this project was getting wound down. You can see there's a new concrete sidewalk that was put in front of the building, and then there was a wide open area. What happened was Warren Street didn't line up with the property lines. So Mass Highway built this build-out, this bump. It's now called the Heat Island, both at the Ironside Grill, the white building on the left, and in front of myself. So that's how we wound up with it. And they paved it over, extended it out, built a heat island. They then put red bricks over the hot top and over the red brick sidewalk. And there we go. There's another picture of the off-ramp that was coming down in front of my building. So the off-ramp created a lot of not clean dirt and so forth. But we wound up with this heat island when we since that day, 1988, there have been numerous trees planted in front of my building. They just all died because the soil, I believe, is just all just rocks and dirt polluted soil. And there's another picture of the ramps and so forth across the street from me. So the purpose of this is try to cut down the size of the heat island, reduce the size of the heat island, and allow some clean fill to be put into a planter area that will help the trees grow. That has been, because there had been the off-ramp there before. And also encircle the planter with a low-level 13-inch high fencing to keep the dogs off the planter and give them a chance to grow. We've planted many trees there over the years. None of them take, none of them grow. Since 1988, we've been chasing trees there. And it just doesn't happen. And we'll be replacing the 2 trees that are presently there that are basically not that healthy with 3 new trees. So with that, I'd appreciate your consideration on this matter.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those incredible photos. It's very cool to see that transformation documented so well, so much appreciated. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right, hearing none from others, I have a couple. So can you go back to your plan showing the dimensions, the plan view here? Yeah, thank you.
The next one up. Next one, Lance. Yeah, this is good.
There we go. So one item related to the crosswalk in the planting area, the small planting area proposed on the left of this bottom left portion of this area. Yep, right there. So it's showing yeah, right there. So it's showing a 5'4" clearance, it looks like, between the edge of that planting bed and what looks like a granite post that is kind of connected to the planting area in front of the building. Is that correct?
Yes, Anthony Pisani, the architect. That is the 5'4", 5.4 feet is what the existing dimension is, and that's the dimension that we're holding.
Okay. So one observation, just looking at some of the street view photos of the area, is that it appears that some of the plantings on in the kind of planting area adjacent to the property are growing out into that, over that pedestrian zone and extending beyond that granite marker, which functionally is sort of narrowing the pedestrian or the available pathway there. Can we get a commitment to keep those plants turned back so that there's a sort of true 5'4" path there?
Yeah, yes, Skemplet. I have a landscape person called YEW&I from Jamaica Plain, and they have been doing all my planting there for the last 30 plus years, or 33, 34 years. And they're there numerous times during the season. They do cut it back constantly, but I will stay on them about cutting it back even further. I do keep an eye on that, especially on the corner of Henley Street, because it's closer there to the pole. We can cut that one back quite a bit.
All right, excellent. I appreciate that. You know, beautiful plants, but want to make sure that people can have the available width of the sidewalk to them.
Right to the brick.
I think the next kind of thing I want to talk about is just the sort of, if you can go back to the plan view again. So currently this area, these crosswalks or these ramps are not ADA compliant. And as you may know, the city is under both a legal consent decree obligation as well as a moral obligation to make all of our crosswalks fully compliant with ADA. And these ramps will at some point need to be reconstructed in a way that complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I suspect that when that reconstruction happens, that it may impact the edges of the planting area and potentially the decorative fence here. And we may also do work on the sidewalk as well for accessibility, given that the brick often has its own set of challenges. So I want to sort of just, one, state that for the record, and two, confirm with the proponent that you understand that if the city does do work in this area and it impacts these planting beds, well, we will obviously do our best to not damage trees or other planting materials, but that there may be damage or removal of elements that are being installed here, and the city does not, as a matter of policy, sort of put back in place on its own dime specialty materials that were installed by others. So that would mean that if it is necessary to remove fencing or impinge into the planting area, that it would be your responsibility to do any restoration work to bring it back into the condition that we're reviewing here today. So I want to make sure that's understood and see if you have any questions or concerns about that.
No, I believe that's in the agreement, the draft agreement that we have drawn up between 30 Park Street Condo Trust, which I'm the trustee, and which has been worked out with my attorney, Jonathan Silverstein, who I believe is on the phone. Jonathan?
Yes, I can confirm, this is Jonathan Silverstein, counsel for the applicant. I can confirm that the license agreement, the form of which has been agreed upon between me and the city's council, does explicitly note that, any projects that the city conducts that result in damage to the planters, that it will be Ken's responsibility to replace those elements.
Okay, I appreciate that. And in the same vein, just confirming that you intend to fully maintain the plantings in the planted area, is that correct?
We plant 3 trees and maybe some small shrubbery on the outer ridges to fill up some space.
And you maintain it.
Oh, yes, that's part of the licensing agreement, that I'm maintaining it, yeah, oh, yeah. And if the trees don't make it, they're my responsibility to replace them.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Pretty comprehensive.
All right, well, we appreciate that. It's somewhat unusual to get these kinds of proposals from a smaller building. They're usually associated with larger projects, so we just want to kind of make sure all bases are covered in terms of the maintenance and the expectations around this. I don't know that I have any other questions. Other commissioners, PIC staff, members of the public, anyone else?
No, I think we're all set on this one.
All right, excellent. Well, then we will be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on April 11th?
Yes, yep.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Go on.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So moved. Thank you all. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.